Well, I think I love that question, okay, because I really do think that the leaders that I know, and I've known a lot of them, I've worked with leaders who came into the business, and I've worked with them for 30 years and who are now making multi-million dollars a year. The people that I know who have really done well in this industry are people who at the heart of the business believe and understand it isn't about the product, it's about the people. And that they grow their people, and they develop their people. And as they do that, from training like this, psychological training, of course you're going to give them product training, but more even psychological training. That you help them understand that what will happen in this business is it's a mirror. So whatever it is that is unsolved in your heart or your soul, you will run into in this business. If you're afraid of rejection in your life, you'll create it in the business. If you're afraid of asking in your life, you will create it in the business. If you're afraid of having more money than you've ever thought of in your life, you will create it in the business. And so what we have to understand is that as we develop ourselves, our business has to go along. So focus on them, love them, get them things to help them. And the first 6 to 8 weeks after you recruit somebody is when they're most tenuous. It's when they're going to drop out. Work with them particularly about rejection and how to turn that around, and help them understand that it's a belief system. That nobody rejects them. They reject themselves by their own negative beliefs. Change that, they can stay forever. Thank you. Thank you. All right, let's go on. Let's talk about the next area, and that is self-sabotage strategies. If we're going to get in our own way, and we all are, we're going to sabotage from one of these perspectives. Resignation. Resignation means I give up before I start. I resign myself that things aren't going to work. And so this is the person who walks around and says, diets don't work, so bring on the ice cream. Now, none of your fabulous 50s said this. The wonderful people here that lost, there were 50 people who started, 50 people who finished, who I want to acknowledge. Teresa Turner, Jarrell Riston, Gail Wong, Jake Carter, Dean Michela, sorry. All these people were lost over 90 pounds or over 100 pounds. And so they didn't sabotage. They didn't sabotage. Fabulous. I just lost 20 and it was one of the hardest things I've done, so I really appreciate what you guys have worked on. Now, in terms of self-sabotage, resignation means we give up before we start. We talk ourselves out of it. We get a sales challenge and we go, oh, that's just really too hard. I can't do that. Or we get a recruiting challenge and we go, oh, I don't want to talk to that many people. And so because we talk ourselves out of it, we give up before we ever even take the risk. That's resignation. Denial. Denial is we deny that we have to do anything. We deny that there's a problem, And I have, from all my writing on self-sabotage, and self-sabotage is the unconscious ways that we throw away what we most want. None of us would do this consciously, okay? I don't think people intentionally say, I'm going to go out there and ruin my life, I think unintentionally we have messages that are going on, we have issues that are happening within us that we're not always aware of. They're cloudy, they're murky, but we act on those issues and then we self-sabotage. I have been, interviewed a lot in the media about whatever contemporary person is blowing their life apart. Right now, it is Anthony Weiner. Yeah. I'm not going to talk a lot about this because the media has done a great job about talking about this. But if you don't know who Anthony Weiner is, turn to the person next to you and they'll tell you. This man, 7-term congressman, from his own personal issues, is absolutely, probably ruined his marriage and certainly ruined his career by the activity of sending photos of himself through the internet. All right. Now that is a self-sabotage. Now, did he consciously think, I want to go out there and ruin my career? I don't think so. I think he thought he could get away with it. I think he thought that it wouldn't be found out. But as in many things, or as in most things, those things that we try to slip through, or those things that we don't want to take on directly, tend to become the thing that brings us down. They're our Achilles heel. So denial. I think he denied. I think he was in denial. He was in denial that this would make any difference, or that it would get out, or that something would happen as big and as, I don't know how big, but as, I didn't say that. As big as the media has made this, all right? See, that's the thing about this. You can't talk about it, right? All right, so denial. He denied it to himself. And I also think he had a narcissistic fatal flaw we're going to talk about in a minute. But settling. Settling means denial. Oh, let me finish denial. Denial has to do with people who just don't want to see. They just don't want to admit that, you know, their working is something they have to do to make their business work, you know, or making calls is intrinsic to this business. So we deny it. We somehow think we can get away with it. We somehow think that if I eat 4 gallons of ice cream, it really won't put on the pounds. I don't know what we think. But, you know, it's we deny. So the next one is settling. And in denial is any kind of addiction problem. Lindsay Lohan has a huge issue with denial. All right? She keeps ending up in rehab and ending up in rehab. Settling. Settling means we settle for less. We don't go for what we want. We take less and we say, oh well, that's just gonna do. It's gonna be okay. You know, I'll just settle. I won't really go for it. I won't really stay the course until I get to be presidential or ambassador or lose those 100 pounds. I'll lose 20 and that'll be it. Okay. Now, in terms of settling out there in the world, let me give you an example. I like to give you examples from the media. Now, this is a long time ago example, but it's such a big example that I always use it. And that is the presidential career in 1988 of Senator Gary Hart. Senator Hart, if you don't remember, was the presidential contender. He was a Democrat. He looked to be facing an uncontested election. He was the front runner. Everyone loved him. He was gregarious. He was bright, congressman. He was asked by the media, is there anything in your life around the issue of womanizing that would cause you a problem when you're running for the presidency? He said, absolutely not. Tail me. He dared them to tail him. The media tailed him. 3 days later, on the ship, the Monkey Business, he put Donna Rice, a model, on his lap, and he was snapped with that shot. That shot of he and Donna Rice on the Monkey Business ended his presidential career. He settled for less. He threw away an almost uncontested bid for the presidency by his own self-sabotage. Throwing it away. Throwing it away is an interesting one. Throwing it away has to do with you get what you want, all right? You make the money. You get the girl. You lose the weight. You become a congressman, you know? You become a president. And because of your own issues, because of your own unsolved emotional issues, you throw it away. Now this is the one that is so sad about Oprah Winfrey. Oprah Winfrey, as you remember, what came on her program, pulling a little wagon that had 70 pounds of suet in it, representing the 70 pounds of weight that she'd lost on a liquid diet. She sat there in her cute little jeans, and she was so excited, and all of her television viewers were excited. And in the next year, she put back on 85 pounds. And when she was asked by the media, what gives, Oprah? What happened? She said, I'll never diet again until I understand the psychological reasons why I can't keep this weight off. She self-sabotaged. She's done it over and over and over. And that is the way she's lost the weight and put it back on. She throws it away. And the last one is fatal flaw. Fatal flaw is a personality characteristic that stays dormant until the very last minute, and it snatches defeat from the jaws of victory. It can be narcissism. It could be, one of the great examples of that is Martha Stewart. Martha Stewart lied to a federal committee about her taxes. She was indicted, she was found guilty, and she was sent to prison for 2 years because she wouldn't admit some of her own wrongdoing. So her narcissism got her into prison. Now, yes, she's back, and yes, she's probably doing fine, but she certainly paid a price for that. Bill Clinton, in his narcissism with Monica, In his autobiography, he even wrote his autobiography called My Life. He had a chapter, and the title of the chapter was, What Was I Thinking? And that's a good question. That fatal flaw almost ended his presidency, almost stopped his success. He's come back. America is a forgiving country, and so that's wonderful, and he does good work. But self-sabotages are the way that we make sure we don't get what we want. I want you to think right now of your 2 goals that you have that are important to you. And I want you to go inside and answer this question. If you were going to sabotage those 2 goals, what would you do? Okay. Answer that question inside. And then what I'm going to do right now is work on and talk about how not to do it. Okay? All right. So we all know how we might self-sabotage. All right. Take a second and talk to your partner about that. I want you to say that out loud. Tell them how you might blow it.